Hey there, folks, grab a seat, maybe a coffee, because I'm about to take you back to a night that turned our sleepy little town of Pine Hollow, Montana, upside down, a night that started with the low rumble of trouble and ended with a roar nobody saw coming. Picture this, a quiet main street, 6 blocks of mom-and-pop shops, the kind of place where the biggest drama is whether the high school team's gonna choke at regionals. That was Pine Hollow, all 7,000 of us, tucked between mountains that hold secrets older than time, until the Iron Vipers Motorcycle Club rolled in, and everything we thought we knew about our town got tested by fire. It was a crisp September morning when I first felt the air shift, you know, that gut twist you get when something's off. I'm Ellie Wrench Harper, 35, running Harper's Custom Rides, a garage where I rebuild motorcycles so sweet they could make a grown man cry. That day, I was elbow deep in a '78 Yamaha, grease smudged on my cheek, when Sheriff Dan Carver pushed through the shop door, his boots heavy on the concrete. Dan's the kind of guy who'd rather talk a drunk into sleeping it off than pull his badge, but his face lined, tense, like he'd aged a decade overnight, told me this wasn't about a bar fight. "Ellie," he said, voice low, "we got trouble. The Iron Vipers are coming, and they ain't here for a joyride." I wiped my hands on a rag older than my truck, heart kicking up a notch. The Vipers? They weren't just some weekend bikers. They were a machine, ruthless, organized, with a rap sheet that stretched from here to California, dealing in drugs, guns, and fear. Word was, they wanted to scare a federal judge into dropping a case against their boys. And Pine Hollow, with its 1 sheriff and 2 deputies, was their playground. See, they picked us because we're small, isolated, the kind of place where backup's a pipe dream. Judge Sarah Mitchell was set to sentence 5 Vipers for racketeering, and they'd moved the trial here thinking it'd be safe from their reach. Big mistake. By noon, the Vipers' Harleys 40 of M, gleaming like a pack of wolves, rolled down Main Street, slow, deliberate, their engines growling a warning. Leading them was Victor Reaper Kane, a man with eyes like a snake and a smile that promised pain. I watched from my shop, my partner Mike Torres tightening a wrench like he could crush the tension in the air. "Ellie, those guys move like they've seen combat," Mike muttered, his Marine instincts kicking in. He wasn't wrong. The way they scanned rooftops, checked alley sit was military, not just muscle. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here to own us. I wasn't always Wrench, you know. 10 years ago, I was Sergeant Harper, Army combat engineer, 3 tours in Iraq, building defenses under fire, rigging traps for enemies who thought they had us beat. I left that life behind, or so I thought, trading bombs for bikes, looking for quiet. But quiet's fragile, and as I watched Reaper Kane size up our courthouse like a general planning a siege, I knew my past was about to catch up. Dan leaned in, voice barely above a whisper. "Ellie, I know you've got connections. Any chance you can pull some strings?" I didn't answer right away. My military days were buried deep, but I had a phone number or two, and a machine in the back of my Shopa Custom Kawasaki, tricked out with armor plating and tech that'd make a tank blush. I'd built it for just in case, half joking, half haunted by nightmares of ambushes. Now, just in case, was staring me in the face. By dusk, the Vipers made their move. An explosion rocked the hardware store across from the courthouse, glass shattering like a scream, followed by gunfire, sharp, disciplined, not some street brawl. I crouched in my shop's service pit, a spot I'd reinforced to double as a lookout, watching Reaper's crew move like they'd rehearsed this for months. They weren't just thugs. They had encrypted radios, night vision, the works. Sheriff Dan's voice crackled over my scanner, desperate. "All units, we're under attack. Courthouse is surrounded, requesting immediate backup." The dispatcher's reply was a gut punch. "State Police ETA, 45 minutes. FBI 90. Too long. Way too long." That's when I made my call, not to Dan, but to Major Liz Hawk Brennan, my old CO, now with the National Guard. "Hawk, it's Wrench. Pine Hollow's about to burn. I need you to move fast." Her voice came back, steady as steel. "Ellie, I can get assets there in 6 hours, maybe 4 if I pull strings. Can you hold the line?" I glanced at my Kawasaki, tarp pulled back, its armored frame glinting under the shop lights. "Depends on how crazy they get, Hawk. But I've got resources." She paused, then said, "Do what you gotta do," but I never heard this call. I hung up, heart pounding, and turned to Mike. Go home, lock the doors, keep your family safe. He stared at the bike, eyes wide. Ellie, what the hell is that thing? I smirked, running a hand over its controls. Something I built for days like this. The courthouse was a war zone by 9 p.m. Smoke rising, screams echoing. The Vipers herding civilians like cattle. I saw Jenny Lopez from the diner, clutching her kid, running toward the community center. That sight lit a fire in me. Not just anger, but something deep a promise I'd made to myself after Iraq to never let innocents get caught in the crossfire again. I fired up the Kawasaki, its engine snarling like a beast waking up, and roared out of the shop. The Vipers didn't expect me. To them, I was just a mechanic, some small-town nobody. But when my bike's armor deflected their first shots, and its jammers fried their radios, I saw Reaper's cool facade crack. Who the hell is this? He barked, signaling his men to flank me. I leaned into my headset, voice calm but sharp. Reaper, this is Wrench Harper. You're on my turf, and I don't play nice with bullies. Back off, or I'll show you what this bike can do. He laughed, cold, mocking. You're one woman, Harper. We're an army. Stand down, or we level this dump. I revved the engine, smoke grenades popping from hidden launchers, clouding their view. Big talk for a guy who's about to eat dirt. The next hour was chaosm weaving through alleys, drawing their fire, buying time for Dan to get civilians out. My bike was a beast, dodging bullets, spitting non-lethal rounds to drop Vipers without killing them. I wasn't here to play executioner. I wanted them in cuffs, not coffins. But they kept coming, relentless, their numbers swelling as reinforcements rolled in. By midnight, they'd hit the hospital, trying to scare out federal agents hiding there. Dr. Maria Chun, our ER chief, was holding the line, refusing to abandon her patients. I pulled up, smoke and gunfire thick as fog, and faced off with Tony Blaze Ruiz, Reaper's demolitions guy, who was itching to blow the place sky high. Harper, you're out of your league, he sneered, hoisting a rocket launcher. This ain't Iraq. I grinned, activating my bike's EMP pulse, frying his gear. Good thing I brought Iraq with me, Blaze. The tide turned when the townsfolk fought back. Nana Ruth, my grandmother, a retired defense worker with a knack for secrets, started coordinating on old radio gear she'd kept from her Cold War days. Ellie, hold tight, she said, voice crackling. I called in some favors veterans, hunters, folks who don't take kindly to outsiders wrecking their home. Sure enough, pickup trucks rolled in, rigged with steel plates, driven by guys like Old Man Carter, who'd hunted these hills since Vietnam. They weren't soldiers, but they were Pine Hollow, and that was enough. Reaper's crew faltered, caught off guard by a town that refused to break. The final showdown went down at the old sawmill, a rotting relic on the edge of town. Reaper had holed up there, clutching a briefcase full of intel proof his crew wasn't just a gang, but a front for some foreign outfit testing America's weak spots. I rode in alone, bike humming, heart steady. He stepped out, cool as ever, holding that case like it was his ticket out. Harper, you're good, I'll give you that, he said, voice smooth but edged with panic. Walk away, and Pine Hollow lives. Fight me, and this whole place burns. I dismounted, my bike's auto defenses locking onto his men. You underestimated us, Reaper. This town's got heart, and I've got the hardware. Hand over the case, or I'll take it from you. He smirked, signaling Blaze to light the fuses. But I'd scouted the mill months ago, rigging it with my own traps. One pulse from my bike, and his explosives fizzled. Nice try, I said, diving for cover as his men opened fire. It was Britam against 12, dodging bullets, using the mill's beams to outmaneuver them. But I wasn't alone for long. FBI choppers buzzed overhead, and Hawk's National Guard unit rolled in, guns blazing. Reaper's crew crumbled, and when I tackled him, wrestling that briefcase free, I saw the fear in his eyes, fear of failing whoever was bankrolling this mess. The feds swarmed in, securing the case, which held plans for attacks on a dozen other towns, funded by shadowy players across the globe. We'd stopped a nightmare before it spread. 6 weeks later, Pine Hollow's rebuilding, stronger than ever. The courthouse is back, bristling with new security. Judge Mitchell's trial sent the Vipers' leaders to prison, and the feds are chasing their overseas backers. My shop's now a hub, training folks to protect their towns with gear I designed. Nana Ruth got a medal, turns out. Her retirement was a cover for decades of covert work. Dr. Chin's running a trauma center, and Mike's building defense rigs for veterans across Montana. We lost 3 good people that night, and their names are carved on a monument in the park, where kids play under a sky that feels a little safer. But here's the thing: Pine Hollow didn't win because of me or my bike. We won because we stood together, because a town full of regular folks said, "Not today." It makes you wonder, what happens when the next threat comes? Are small towns soft targets? Or are we steel waiting to be forged? I think about that night, the roar of my bike, the look in Reaper's eyes when he realized he'd lost. It wasn't just about saving Pine Hollow, it was about proving something bigger, something about who we are when the chips are down. So what do you think? Could your town stand up to a fight like that? What's worth fighting for where you live? Drop a comment, share your thoughts, Shell. Tell me I'm crazy if you want. And if this story hit you, hit that subscribe button. We've got more tales coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Thanks for listening, folks. Stay strong out there.